All right, welcome back to The Horror with Mike.
And Nate.
On this episode, we're going into our first Killer Theory episodes for Scream Queens.
And this one I would think is going to be kind of short. Not enough evidence there to really suppose any theories.
We do killer theories. Who is your killer theory? Or your two, or whatever.
Well,
per
this
episode.
one, honestly, it would be a killer shot in the dark.
Exactly, but that's fine.
You know?
And there's stuff to kind of talk over, but mostly we're just going to kind of like recap and talk about it and things like that. First off, just general thoughts. What did you think of episode 1? It might be hard to distinguish the two, so feel free to...
let me just say that it was a very smart move to show 2 episodes back to back. The first hour of this premiere, the pilot episode, I did not like. It took a long time for me to start to get into it. The second episode, they had more dialed in what approach they were taking. You know, the opening to the pilot basically, 20 years ago, which was just to set up, it's just there to set up the mystery. It wasn't particularly good on its own. Then you get into the Mean Girls sequence, which was Heather's, it was Jawbreaker, and that's fine. It's okay to deal in cliches. I have no problem with it. It was an instant turnoff. I was like, oh, this is it made me start thinking right away, like, in a movie, it's fine if you have irritating characters because you know they're going to be dying pretty soon. Fortunately, by the time we get into the second episode, there were characters that I enjoyed. But it was definitely a rocky start for me.
I like Heather's. I actually like Mean Girls. And so I was like, okay, this works. Sorority House. Everything that they did, I kind of was charmed by. Like, even stuff that was we're ripping off the plot of House on Sorority Row.
Right.
And I was still like, yeah, I expected you to do that. You're a fucking slasher in a sorority house. I expected that. So I was fine with it. And it all just moved so fast and colorful, and it was really funny.
The pacing was great. The production values were great. It looked really good. The cast is good. The cast is solid. Definitely off to a good start. As to compare it to like the pilot with Scream.
Yeah, because that's what I'm comparing it to.
Well, you have to, because they're 2 horror shows that have a different approach to basically the exact same material.
Right.
And this is going for the playful, funny kind.
Yeah, this
instead
is
of the
totally,
teen drama.
That's the other, this is totally a comedy. Like,
it is.
I don't know if they'll ever be able to
at times it gets into like a scary movie, Wayans Brothers kind of comedy.
Yeah, you're right. It did play a little, but again, I was fine with it. We'll see.
Well, that would actually be the only thing that I'm confident in saying in terms of having a killer theory is that based on their work in making American Horror Story, I think that wherever the show seems like it's going, it's probably going to get there a lot sooner than anybody anticipates it.
Sure.
And then it's going to flip and it's going to go in some crazy new direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes in American Horror Story, I don't care for it. I think they jump the gun sometimes, but I get it because you never want your audience to be bored.
Ryan Murphy's the thing that's giving us all the silliness and the waterfalls reference, and like that people are saying they're in the 90s, but they dress like they're in the 80s. But the Brad guy and the Ian guy,
Ian Bennett and Brad Falchuk.
Ian wrote Cooties, which I just watched the first half hour, and I'm not loving it, but I'll get through it. We'll see. But those two, they genuinely seem like horror fans. They're protective of those aspects. So it's like kooky and whatever, and Ryan Murphy makes it, I think they know enough to ground it. And if they're making a slasher, they know what people want to see in a slasher. And I was enjoying myself quite a bit.
Right. Speaking of that aspect, though, I've got to say, in these first 2 episodes, the only time that I actually laughed out loud is when all the frat guys found Nick Jonas dead on the table, and they all just let out this collective, 12-year-old girl screech. That got me. That was funny. I mean, first of all, how can you not love Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes, she does a great job in this.
She is the biggest scream queen on the dang show.
Still has so much screen presence.
And what I love about her character, not even just her performance, but her character, is they took the standard movie cliche of the crusty old dean, and they made him a chick. She plays that role of like the crusty old dean.
Yeah, she's Jeremy Piven from Old School. I mean, I'm gonna close down your frat.
Yeah, and John Vernon from Animal House.
Animal House.
She smokes dope and she blackmails students on academic probation into bed, and she's just disaffected. And
that's what I like about her.
Also, to me, she's still sympathetic. It's not like she's the bad guy.
I saw it last night where like I wasn't impressed by Emma Robertson. Maybe I'm just biased on her.
You are.
But, okay, fair enough. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
I think she's really good.
I think she's doing her level best, unless they've got a plan for the character.
They do.
It's such a formulaic slapstick cutout of a character.
She's going somewhere else.
Well, hopefully, because it's nothing against her performance. Don't like the character, don't care about the character, hope she's the next one to die. I know she won't be because of the status of the actress and everything.
Well, that's how they might get us.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
The second episode, I loved Niecy Nash as the security guard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I've always loved her on Reno 911.
Dude, so
and
funny.
She was playing to her strengths.
One thing I have to say real quick before we get into her is Emma Roberts actually had my favorite laugh when she's just so mean to that mammy lady, and she like walks away when they're outside the coffee shop, and she's like, "Mammy, come on," and she's like walks off, and you just hear her. She's down at the other end of the street, and just at the top of her song, she's like, "Mammy, I said come on." I think that and hitting the golf balls at hippies. I think the guy who played Chad was hilarious. The Jonas guy, I don't really know much about him, but I thought he was pretty damn funny.
You know what? He was.
A lot of people
I was
had
actually
good comic timing.
I was going to mention him. He was. Those two guys were really funny together.
Yeah. Like I said, the people have really good comic timing. Watch it for the comedy. Again, Emma Roberts talking to the guy Chad. She's like, and she starts doing the fake cry thing, and she's like whimpering and stuff. As they're just being horrible to each other, and like she's trying to fake like she cares, and maybe she actually does. I just find her like fascinating. I think she's hilarious. The girl we're supposed to care for is so milquetoast that it's like they're gonna get rid of her. But anyway, yeah, let's get to what was her name again?
Niecy Nash.
Niecy Nash.
Officer
Perfect name.
Rainisha Williams
How do
from
you
Reno 911.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, how do you remember what her name is from this episode? Because she says it every single line she has. She refers to her. I actually don't remember what her name is. I watched both episodes twice just because I want to be as in depth. That's the service I provide, is being the asshole who looks too deep into this stuff. So fucking funny.
Yeah.
Both times I'm like, I know what's coming, and it says that if you can't reach me at that number, I'm on site at all times. Now, if you call me and I don't come running, then I'm off site. It's so, and then her friend comes around. God, oh, she was so funny.
Do you have a gun? Well, no.
You got,
but I do have the number to the police, and they can come and bring their guns.
You can't, because what I could tell you her lines, and you would be like, those literally aren't jokes. It's her delivery makes all the jokes, and that's my favorite kind of comedy. And then when it got over the top with the Grande chick death scene,
the texting,
that was
straight out of Scary Movie.
Yeah, that was close to being a bit much, but I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right.
It was, it was cute. I get the point.
Whatever. As far as performances, like I said, I was pretty impressed by pretty much everybody. Abigail Breslin, as of right now, falls into the Mr. Branson killer mode,
right?
Where it's like, why is she in this? Again, look for the actress who's a little bit too big to be in such a fairly insubstantial part. But I was wrong about Branson, so maybe I'm wrong about this too.
Yeah.
So again, performers, any other standouts? I guess not, because they would be standing out in my mind right now.
Yeah, I think we covered the people that I really liked.
Yeah, because everybody else is pretty beige. And that's another thing that I will give Ryan Murphy. He does what you do that I'm kind of not brave enough to do. We know who the predatory lesbian. We have Neck Brace. We have the fat candle chick. You know what I mean? Like
everybody has like a physical gimmick.
Everyone is like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And is like solidified. So you remember them. That Neck Brace is probably coming off. Again, she would top my Killer Theories thing just because it's like, as we all know from Usual Suspects and a bunch of other stuff, someone's in a wheelchair and it's a mystery. $10 says they get out of that wheelchair at some part. You know what I mean? So, and her shirts are really funny because they're like hidden behind the whatever and they're like rainbows and stuff, but it says like death metal. I appreciate stuff like that. As far as the horror goes, I do think it's actually kind of cool. We get our slasher movie backstory thing.
2 episodes in, they've given us more action than we got in pretty much the whole run of Scream.
5 deaths.
It's
6.5.
They were, for the most part, pretty inventive. For like a TV show on the Fox network, they weren't going to push the envelope too far, but...
Yeah, well, and they lay in a lot of groundwork in this episode with a lot of people who've died and a lot of people who've been screwed over. That spray tanning thing was pretty cool. Again, a killer theory would be she gets sprayed and maybe it's the Red Devil wasn't actually in the room because she falls and the first time you see it is in her eye. I could see.
What are your thoughts on the bad guy, him, his or herself, the Red Devil?
Whatever, man. One, how did it not come up until the middle of the second episode that it's the school mascot?
Right.
But whatever. Let's not even worry about that. As a costume, whatever. It's fine. Who cares?
Well,
Scary.
I would only debate the who cares part.
I don't think this is really going for scary. So it's
No,
like,
it definitely, it looks like a school mascot.
Yeah, so
You know.
I don't think we're going to be watching this for scares or anything. We're going to be watching it for maybe like fun horror mood and mystery and surprises gore. But we're never going to be scared by that mask. We're always just going to wonder who's underneath it.
That's a good point, because they don't, it's not their intent to be scary. It wants to be, you know, a comedy in the world of a scary.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So it's just some stuff I thought that was pretty cool. Sorority chick who's like the main bitch sorority chick in 95 who you see dancing to waterfalls. That's Daisy young Daisy from Scream.
Ah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, nice, nice, nice. Chanel Ford died of meningitis. And I looked on IMDb and there's an actress who's going to be playing her and coming into one of the later episodes. So I don't know if that means she's not dead or if it's going to be a flashback. Probably a flashback. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, and there's definitely going to be a flashback in the next episode called Haunted Houses, which I really like the titles of the shows they have thus far. It was Hell Week. Makes so much sense. Why is there not a slasher called Hell Week? Actually, there might be, but I don't think there is.
Yeah, I've seen Hell Night. I don't know about Hell Week.
Yeah, Linda Blair. The next one's called like Pumpkin Patch. You know, it has really fun titles. Yeah, Neck Brace actually kind of sticks out. One of the things about her that I liked is in the second episode where she just kept being so creepy, and I like how it kept freaking Emma Roberts out, how creepy she was being. He's like saying weird stuff like we have to close our eyes or our soul will follow us into our dreams and stuff. She's like, why you gotta be like that? Their coffee house is called The Grind. $10 says they wanted to call theirs The Grind House, and somebody was like, they called it that and Scream. They're like, damn it. How much stuff did they like have to get updates on what Scream's doing and be like, damn it. Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. Oh, the blood oath scene. That was really funny, too.
That was.
I'm sorry. This kind of stuff
she had
is
HPV.
Funny. Yeah, this is funny stuff to me, because I just love how they all confuse each other. Where she's like, I have HPV. She's like, how do you have HPV? You've never been to Mexico. STDs. You don't get STDs from blood oaths. You get them from toilet seats in Mexico. She's like, it's a sexually transmitted disease. You get it, it's transmitted through sex. And she's like, does it look like we're about to have sex right now? I'm like, where did you get this? Off the internet. I didn't spend forever researching blood oaths. This is the stuff that I think's funny. So yeah, then the Vita Grande girl is killed. And I was thinking, and that's how they got me with the Nick Jonas thing, is I was like, oh, that's the show's thing. And I thought that was actually kind of smart, is you can get big pop culture people, which is a good hook. And it's like, oh, you only have to be in like 1 or 2 episodes, and then we'll kill you off. So people would be talking about that.
Right.
You know, it's like if you're the show that kills Justin Bieber one week and then a Jonas Brother the next and then Hannah Montana the next. I thought that was their shtick.
I think it'd be pretty easy to like lure a pop star, just, you know, like Nick Jonas. Hey, it's steady work.
Or you mean like Busta Rhymes or Brandy or...
Yeah.
We remember the 90s. They weren't that long ago. Oh, God. Trick or treat, motherfucker. Oh, God. The deaf chick singing along to the, like, why are you guys screaming? Are you singing? Again, my other favorite joke of the first episode was the Zayday, where she's in the ground, and automatically, like, nobody in horror movies ever gets freaked out by anything until it's way too late. She's in the ground, and then she hears the lawnmower comes on, and she's like, oh, those are killer noises. And I just thought those are killer noises is perfect. So we got 4 dead in 1 episode.
Yeah, like I said,
that's damn near as many people who
the
died.
Pace is great.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing that I got to give them credit for, and I knew it was going to happen. They are good at pace. That shit, pow,
yes,
flies.
That way, even if you don't think it's a super hilarious show,
yeah, it's on.
There's always something going on. Somebody dies every half hour or so.
Yeah, the main chick Grace and like Pete and her dad. Like those 3 bland characters that maybe we need, or maybe they're just going to get killed off. But it's like a lot of time in the second episode gets spent with them. And I would think that that's the stuff that makes you be like, oh, actually, you know what? Get back to Emma Roberts and all the horrible people, because these people are too bland. The score to the show is really cool. 80s score, which I think is way too overused in movies. I could go on a whole rant about that. Still, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a good blend of that and topical songs from the 90s.
Yeah, 90s, 80s, modern day. Like, the show starts, it says 1995, and it plays a song that came out like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just remember the show.
Yeah,
I thought it started with waterfalls.
I wrote the... No. Bat for Lashes, What's a Girl to Do? Because it has that really cool video, which you need to see. We get one dead in this episode. You know, what are you going to do? Chandel! Chandel! And then, the big thing is Nick Jonas dies. At the very end of the episode, the killer goes into the morgue. He gets up, pulls the fake neck slash off, says, "What took you so long?" Which is what they always say to each other. And then that's the end of the episode. Now, this is interesting because this gets me to watch another episode for no other reason than, is this show going... What does it do? Does it give us our BS like how... Episode 2 of True Detective, does it give us a BS reasoning behind that and only gave us a cliffhanger? Or is this show brave enough to actually make that into something?
That's a good point, because I'm interested to see where it goes as well, because it's not just his frat brothers saw his corpse and think he's dead. He's in the morgue. So he's been processed by the police. There's got to be an active murder investigation. His body's going to turn up missing. It's not like he can go back to school.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does the show hold to those rules?
Or does he just come back to school?
Pretend that like somebody picked him up, didn't check his pulse, put him in the thing? Or
I don't know how preposterous it's going to be.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. This will let us know how serious they take the mystery. If they take it seriously, it's like, then we could scream it, and we could be like, well, who could get into the morgue, and who could, like, pretend that they thought he was dead type thing, whatever. So, a little brief thing on Killer Theories. You say it's too early, but we'll get into all that.
I mean, I have one to throw out there.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Murphy has said you've now met the killer. But let's just say we're going under the assumption that it's one and or two killers. Who would you assume? Who would be your pick for killer from these first two episodes?
Well, whoever the killer is, they are working either with or with the consent of Jamie Lee Curtis. Like 2 of the bodies have disappeared? So these bodies are going somewhere, and I assume that's her, like they did in the town of Emity, covering up Jaws. So I think she's complicit in it somehow. She's got a tie back to that night with the baby, where everything ties back to that night.
Yeah.
That's why they started with it.
Yeah.
So it's important. Whether or not it seems important, it is.
Right.
And
the whole big mystery is who's the baby.
That's the one thought I have that I would like to put out there as a legit killer theory, is Jamie Lee Curtis. Obviously, I'm not saying that she's wearing the Red Devil outfit and running around killing people, but I think that she knows who is.
So who would you say?
The candle vlogger.
Really? Oh, you're just being... Okay, so...
No, I mean, well, why not? Like, literally, I'm just guessing. I had, like, one actual idea that I think... and that's my killer theory, is the Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
Like, who's wearing... Not even counting Jamie Lee Curtis. There are 2 people involved in the murders.
Mm-hmm.
Fake, gay, dead Nick Jonas is involved on some level.
Mine would be Gigi. Maybe it's like I said, I'm just a little pipered out right now. And she is made a little bit obvious, but everybody is, where she's like, something happened to me, it trapped my psyche in the 90s. But yeah, again, probably pretty obvious, but this is mostly stab in the dark. And she just seems like...
Yeah, and they give something obvious to a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things she does is she makes sure that she goes and gets Emma's dad.
I do really like her character. I think she's funny.
Yeah, no, she's funny. Yeah. And then she gets the dad to drive... Again, I think she acts like she's ditzy, but she's actually not. Anyway, so she gets the dad to leave, and then that's when the Red Devil supposedly strikes at Emma, but it really goes after the security guards. Anyway, so just, again, shot in the dark, I would say that it's her.
All right.
Overall, as far as ratings go, do you want to rate the 2 separate?
No, I wouldn't, actually, because I watched them back-to-back on Hulu. I couldn't tell you specifically where one ended and the other began, because they didn't show the credits twice.
Yeah.
So, but I basically watched it in one sitting. And, for that one sitting, like, collectively, I'd give it, like, for a pilot, I'd give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. It was engaging. I would come back and watch another one, but it did start really rough. It got better as it went along.
Yeah.
So it's definitely got momentum going into the next episode.
Yeah, it's a good pilot. It's fun. I want to watch the next episode. So it's a 7. It's pretty good.
Agreed.
Can't complain.
Agreed.
What did you guys think? Send us your thoughts on Twitter, Facebook. Comment below.
Yeah, we always answer our comments. We love to hear from all of our listeners, so let us know what killer theories you have.
Yes, and if you want to participate too, always a fun time. How cool will it be at the end? I go and look back and wow, you were right.
Right, it's the Gandalf logger.
Yeah, well, not you. You're not going to be... if you're right again... Oh, I'm going to kill you.
It'll get easier over time.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we get... it's not even about getting more information. It's about gauging the preposterousness level of the show.
Yep.
You know, if it's going to break more in...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm all for preposterous. Why would you make killer theories off 2 episodes? Because it's as preposterous as this show. So let's do it. Why not? Yep.
And it made me want to go hit golf balls at hippies. I don't even golf, but I'd like to take it up.
So funny.
Another thing that there's a sorority that only has 4 girls in it.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that.
You've got like this giant house, and you just do that for economical reasons.
Yeah,
because if there were 20 sorority sisters, how are you going to keep track of all of them sorority
Well, the
sisters?
thing is they go out of their way at one point to say that. Oh, well, I guess it's the pledges don't live on in the house, which of course makes sense. But I think they kind of allude to only like the 4 Chanels get to stay. Who cares? Whatever.
Right.
Again, economical reasons. They only had 4 pledges and 4 girls who lived there. Whatever. Already too many characters, but that's good. Their victim pool is huge. So anyway, we like it. We're going to be tuning in next week. Make sure you tune into our show next Thursday night, and we will go over Scream Queen's, possibly our first legitimate killer theories for episode 3.
All right, that's all for this week.
Yep, and we'll see you next time, guys, here on The Horror. Later on.